What's up, Domino community? I'm Lily Hevish, and today I'll be teaching you how to build the Disney logo. So get your dominoes and let's start building. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to build the Disney logo based on the build guide from my H5 Domino Creations Disney set. Now, I'm using all 200 dominoes from this set, but depending on how large you make it, the amount of dominoes will vary. Step 1 is to make the outline using flat dominoes. So I'm going to use the image on the build guide as sort of a reference to make the shape of the Disney logo. I'm just going to use gray to kind of lay out the shape. So I'm going to start with the uppermost part of the logo. It looks like it kind of goes around, has a slight angle, and then it's going to shift back around on a loop. And this could just be a really rough outline. This is just a great idea to see how large it's going to be. And then it looks like it's kind of a sharper corner going this way, and then it goes horizontally and then back around. Then there's also this vertical line going across it. I'm gonna just adjust the shape a little bit, make sure it all looks good. And just so you can get an idea of size, this is 25 inches wide and 23 inches tall. So if you make it about that size, it should use no more than 200 dominoes. So once you've finished making the outline in dominoes, now we can start setting up the dominoes upright. And I'm gonna start by making the split that's in the center of the logo. Now the colors that you use don't matter, so feel free to use whatever you'd like. I'm just gonna use certain colors to highlight different portions to make it easier to see. I'm going to take out this first domino that's in the center of this cross, and we're going to make what's called a split. So I'm gonna take one domino and put it on the left side of this vertical line. I want to make sure that it's in line with this crossing line. I'm going to take two more dominoes and make a triangle. But it's really important when you place this triangle that the yellow domino is on the inside of the other two. And this is because the dominoes will be toppling in this direction. So you always want to make sure that the first domino in the split is on the inside so that it can kind of push the other two out. Next, we're going to make the vertical line that crosses all the way through. I'm going to place a domino below the split, and it's really important that the corners or the bottom short side of these dominoes align. So for example, I wouldn't have a domino that's like this because these corners don't align, and I wouldn't have the domino right here because that's a little risky. The corners also don't align. Now, depending on where you made the split, it's possible that you may have to shift it over just slightly so that this bottom domino is in line with the vertical placed dominoes. So it looks like this is a little bit offset, so I'm going to move everything just a little bit over to the left. So now we can place the domino on top on the other side, making sure that these corners are in line with each other. And from here, we can build the full vertical line. Now, I recommend that spacing is between 1 domino thickness and 1 centimeter maximum. And as you build closer, you can remove the flat dominoes and replace those with upright standing dominoes. And I'm gonna wait to finish this bottom section here. We'll do that at the end, but we can continue and make the top part of the vertical line. And just make sure when you look at the line from this angle, all of the dominoes are parallel and it looks nice and straight. Next, we can make this full horizontal cross. So I'm gonna take a yellow-orange domino and place it in line with the other domino here. And just make sure there's a really small gap in between the angled domino and the one that you just placed. And once that's all aligned, we can continue building the line. And once we get to this side, it's going to make a U-turn. And it's really important whenever you're making turns to make sure that the dominoes are only angled very slightly. So for example, this would be way too sharp of a turn. I'm going to angle it so it's just a tiny bit. And you'll see on the short side, it's a little bit less than 1 domino thickness. And on the other side, it's a little bit larger than 1 domino thickness. And one tip when you're making a U-turn is to use at least 9 angled dominoes in the turn. And from here, I'm just going to continue building all the way down. So I'll replace these gray dominoes with standing dominoes. And once you get to the bottom where it meets this vertical line, we're going to place 1 domino that's in line with the left edge of this vertical line. The placement of this domino is really important when we connect it all at the end. And from here, I'm going to make just a slightly larger gap in between this yellow-orange domino and the next gray domino. I'd say this is roughly 3/4 of an inch in between. And it's really important that there's about a 1/2 inch gap between this bottom line and the vertical line. And that's because the bottom mine is going to topple first, and we don't want it to accidentally trigger this vertical line. So make sure there's just a little bit of a gap. And now we can just continue building the line going all the way up. And this is somewhat of a larger build, so just in case, I'm going to make a safety gap and take out 5 dominoes in a row right here. So if I were to accidentally knock this down, it would just stop at that gap instead of knocking down the entire project. And at the end, we can just fill it in. But for now, we can continue building over here. I'm gonna switch to gray. And just for safety, I'm going to make one more safety gap. I'll take out 5 dominoes right here. You can just place the stack next to it. And at the top of the Disney logo, we're going to make another U-turn similar to how we did over here. So just make sure that the angle of the dominoes isn't too sharp. And just for fun, I think I'm actually gonna replace this first domino with my brand new metallic domino featuring Disney's Mickey Mouse. This is gonna be a super cool starting piece, so I'm just gonna place that one right here. So now that we have this whole line set up, we can finish the vertical line. And this part is a little more tricky. I'm gonna take a teal domino and angle it 45 degrees between the yellow-orange domino and the pink domino. And this should be inserted about halfway in between these dominoes. And from here, we can continue building the line downward. So the next domino that I place will be in line with the rest of this vertical line. So just make sure that all lines up. Similarly to this split, we want to make sure that the corner of this 45-degree angle domino is in line with the corner of this bottom domino. So just make sure everything looks good, and once that's all set, we can continue building the line down. And finally, the last step is to fill in your safety gaps. So just really carefully take your dominoes and then replace them into the line. Awesome, there we go. I'm just gonna double check the shape, and if needed, I can always move over dominoes and just slightly shift it over. It may be helpful to look at it from directly above, so you can kind of compare the shape to the Disney logo on the build guide. I'm gonna add just a couple more dominoes to the top of this vertical line. I'm pretty happy with the shape, so I think we're ready to topple it. 3, 2, 1, go! Perfect! So if we watch this in slow motion, the domino line hits a split, which knocks down the bottom, and then it triggers into 3 lines, and then the rest of it falls. Now that was awesome. If you're looking for more domino tutorials, I'll leave a link to a playlist right over here. And if you need more dominoes, you can get my own H5 Domino Creations Disney set at heavish5.com/buydominoes. Huge thank you to Spin Master for partnering with me to make the highest quality dominoes possible. And finally, I want to give a shout out to our featured community member, Caplalacia, who has been making some incredible Capla projects. This channel is seriously so underrated, so please go subscribe. And as always, I'm Lily Heavish, and keep on building.